Much of the world we knew has been completely overtopped by this new world we're living in. One way or another, your life has irrevocably changed. Good or ill varies from person to person, from tragedy to tragedy, but personal lives aren't all that has been affected. On the professional front, businesses have been devastated, and there's a need for new and innovative techniques to survive and thrive in this new world order. Technology is the force that allowed us unprecedented success in such a short time. Thanks to technology, we landed on the moon. We can see the surface of other planets in our vast solar system. It's safe to say that more than half of our lives are regulated and dependent on technology. Smartphones, computers, cars, smart kitchen appliances, and the list goes on. The world is still reeling and trying to find its footing. There are always consequences to a massive world-changing event. To make matters worse, we face those consequences in the form of supply chain disruptions. But this isn't the evergreen stuck in the Suez Canal. This is us running out of materials to manufacture microchips that power almost all appliances. Phones? Check. Cars? Check. Tablets, consoles, personal computers? Check. Kitchen appliances? Check. Gym equipment? Check. I could go on, but I feel like the gravity of the situation is settling in just fine without my help. The problem isn't specifically COVID or what came after it. The problem is our increased consumption habits and the readily available market at your fingertips. Online retail stores like Amazon, Flipkart, and official website retail stores have made it easy and almost too tempting. Browsing and adding things to the cart has become second nature to most of us. Phones, shoes, dresses, and more can be done at your fingertips. Quarantined and left to the limited space of our homes, our tech consumption increased more than what we could make. Political instability and changing government regimes are other causes that led to this shortage. Here are some fun facts. A whopping 1 trillion chips are made every year, and it takes around 2 months to manufacture one. That's excluding the time you can ship it from your factory and have reached its intended destination. Companies that manufacture these chips are also fewer than what the demand calls for. China-based SMIC, Semiconductor Manufacturing International Corporation, is one of the 2 leading companies that manufacture said chips. With increased trade restrictions on Chinese products, the companies getting their orders from SMIC were forced to look elsewhere to get their needs met. The second major player, Taiwanese-based TSMC, or Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing Corporation, had to take up the slack. Unfortunately, TSMC is already working at capacity to fill those extra orders. Another culprit is globe-wide climate change. Taiwan saw the worst drought in 50 years. Every chip uses large amounts of ultra-pure water that is treated with reverse osmosis water filler RO, activated and carbon water filter, or UV purification before employing a deionizing water system of ion exchange, or IX, or electrodeionization, or EDI, to clean their factories. For any factory to ensure an uninterrupted supply, they would need access to water. Another major hindrance is an increment in the prices of raw materials required for manufacturing those tiny chips. Metals like copper were costly to acquire due to natural shortages and due to restrictions imposed by governments to reduce emissions. As a general rule of thumb, shortages beget more shortages. Shortage of water led to a shortage in the number of chips being manufactured. That in turn led to a shortage in the world supply of chips, which spread to other areas like automobile, entertainment, tech, and importantly, medical equipment. The laws of supply and demand go like this. More demand than supply equals lower price. High demand and low supply equals a higher price. But that increased cost isn't nearly enough to offset the balance of the money lost by manufacturers. Individuals and businesses are left with a simple choice. The first is to pay hefty sums of money for the already manufactured products, or secondly, to adjust their need for chips by either eliminating them or uncovering a novel solution. One such company, Tesla, run by the eccentric Elon Musk, has sought to find that other solution. Essentially, they rewrote their own vehicle software to support alternative chips. Tech giants like Intel, Samsung, TSMC, and Intel have all announced their own plans to manufacture chips, but such efforts require long-term planning and almost Herculean effort of people involved, including the governing party, support, and approval from authorities, which could take a few years even if projects are greenlit immediately. But things aren't as bleak as they look like. The recent announcement of Tata Group entering the semiconductor manufacturing is being seen positively. The Indian government has also fast-tracked efforts to lure investors in semiconductor manufacturing. Given India's recent push on self-reliance, we can expect sincere and assiduous efforts from our government and results in the near future. Homo sapiens wouldn't be the only human species left if it weren't for our penchant to ingenuity. In fact, we have outlived every other species because of it. And every crunch or hindrance promotes possibilities for change. When a man couldn't retain heat enough to stay warm in cold Siberian climates, we invented warm clothes to continue the wave of colonization. This crisis, although huge in magnitude and effect, is no different. Innovators like Elon Musk have already started working around the issue. India is rightly taking up their place in semiconductor manufacturing by offering alluring incentives and concessions to investors. Experts and insiders all agree that it will take about a year of sustained efforts to bring the situation back to normal. Until then, I doubt you'd be able to buy that PlayStation 5 or Nvidia video card that you had your eye on for so long. Sony recently announced they are halting the production of the PlayStation 5 to combat the shortage problem. Companies like Nvidia are hoping to take advantage of the multifaceted ecosystem they built on their products in order to keep up their revenues. AMD, Advanced Micro Devices, plans to book capacity years ahead to ease the crunch. Despite the shortage, AMD is one of the few companies that's reaping the benefit of early planning. Their steady and open trade relationship with TSMC ensured they had enough to keep up with the rising demand. As a result, they have taken competition from Intel in both processors and PCs. You might sneer and say, why don't we just make more chips? Well, you'd be right. TSMC is planning to build a new fabrication factory in the US to do just that, though the project is not likely to be sent to production till 2024. But steps like these are working to ensure a permanent end to the supply shortages. Intel is also taking the same route. They're proposing plans to build new factories on American soil, but the plan is yet to be laid to bear fruition. Other companies have adopted a completely different approach. They have decided to shift focus to smaller and more precise microchips than entry-level chips. Simply put, they're focusing on their efforts on making and supplying products that they have chips for, and fortunately for them, their push in the Chinese market for 5G has allowed them to stay clear from the heaviest of supply chain disruptions, and they plan to continue on this road until the crisis is mitigated. Electronic giants like Samsung are taking a more cautious approach by skipping out on releasing their new Galaxy Note smartphone. Things are not looking to improve in the near future, but we seem to have taken the right steps this past year to combat the straining situation. No doubt individual consumption had a direct part of play in the crisis, meaning individual consumption can also be a way to fix it. Maybe don't buy that new phone right away, or wait for the PlayStation 5 for another year when things have returned to normal. Whatever the situation, we can assume 2022 isn't going to go smoothly for many of the giant businesses that have come to shape our lives, but if the past 2 years are any indication, we can survive the worst of the worst. So I say let's see what's in store for us in 2022. It won't be dull, that's for certain.